Yay. Cliff and Ivy have been making music since 1984. They've got around 8 full-length albums available on their Bandcamp page, as well as a bunch of EPs and singles. They are the only goth band in Alaska, but their true claim to fame is that they're great people who make amazing music. And I'm proud to call them my friends, joining us live from their home in Anchorage is Cliff and Ivy. Hello and welcome to New Music Mondays.
Hi, thanks so much for having us. We're super excited.
Hey, Davey.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. It's been a few years.
Awesome.
Yeah, let's see. I guess you came down to California in 2017, and I think it was around this same time of year. Is that right? Like September, October?
Yeah, it was like the Halloween, like maybe a week before Halloween or so like that. It was great. We had a great time. Thank you.
Yeah.
No, that was great. I can't remember. Was that part of a larger tour, or did you just come for that one show?
Yeah, we played Los Angeles as well. I think we played
Vegas,
the desert as well,
and Joshua Tree.
Yeah.
Cool. We had a few dates, probably like a week and a half or 2 weeks worth.
I think we hauled it from like the desert all the way over to Oakland. So
it was fun. It was a beautiful drive.
Yeah.
It's a holiday. When we get to go out and do music, it's really a holiday for the two of us.
Yeah, it's great to spend time together, right? I mean, even if you're in the car or in traffic or whatever, you're hanging out on vacation together. Awesome.
We have a great time. It's a lot of work, but yeah.
It's all work, but it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's rewarding.
We just watched the video for In Your Hands, New Blood off of the album New Blood, Old World that you put out in 2015. Amazing album. And a little later, we're going to watch a brand new video for the song Om, which was off of your latest, your most recent full-length Death Mask Devotion from May of 2019. Super excited to see that video. And you're working on some new material too. I know things have been a little slow, and believe me, my band hasn't put anything out since 2017. So there's no apologies or anything needed around that. I totally get that.
We released the best of, which is kind of a compilation of all the different records, and so the first track on that is Om, actually. So it will be kind of like our single for the best of or whatever.
Great.
This is and this video has actually been 2 years in the making. So we've got video from Harp, which is this. It was like a Navy installation at one point, and they were using it for putting electromagnetic energy up into the atmosphere, the Aurora Borealis, and there's a lot of conspiracy theories about it. We're not really on either side. We just think it's amazing that there's so much like attention given to Alaska, and it started here with the Harp. As far as that goes, people think it's a death ray, and it's Nikola Tesla's stuff and all this different. There's lots of different things. So there's like 3 or 4 of them around the world in different places. And
yeah, it's so unique to be able to have a music video there. I think we're probably the only band that's done a music video at a Harp facility, being as there's only 3 of them.
Yeah, I mean, there's other groups that have used footage from there, but I don't know that anyone's actually been inside of it, and like been in the Harp facility
under the antennas and
so
stuff.
It's pretty cool. So that's one thing about the Om video. You'll see it.
Yeah. There was one location in the In Your Hands, New Blood video that looked really beautiful. You were kind of on a cliff overlooking the ocean. Where was that?
That would be Beluga Point.
Might be Beluga Point. We also had a Portage Glacier where the water's really, really pretty. It's like glacial water, and
I think Beluga Point because you can see down. And I remember working on that in the video. Yeah. We always try to have a lot of as much as we can of nature in our videos, just because it's such a cool thing, unique to see, but it's also kind of like a contrast.
That's the Cook Inlet, which is like about 15 minutes from Anchorage, kind of south of Anchorage, and people come from all over the world because it's the only of 2 places in all of North America you can see a board tide, where the water comes in all in once like a wave, and it goes out like a wave. You know what I mean? And there's one other place in Nova Scotia. It's the only other place in North America you can see that board tide. It's 15 minutes away, so it's kind of a world-class destination, and it's really beautiful, and And it's tragic too, because you know you can just tell it's like the cliffs and everything. It just looks, you know, it looks impressive. So
It's very dramatic. Yeah, it was beautiful. So I know you're originally from New Jersey, right?
yeah.
What made you move to Alaska?
Well,
Not
we
what
live.
made you, but what brought you to Alaska?
Yeah, that's okay. My mom lived here, and my stepdad were here. My mom and my stepdad were here before us. We had lived in the Bay Area for about 3 years.
Oakland, what's
We
up?
lived in Oakland, yeah.
West Oakland.
West Oakland, 8th and Pine. The building's still there.
Yeah, it was a warehouse. We lived in a
Across.
warehouse. It was actually the office building to the Phoenix warehouse, Phoenix Ironworks warehouse, which
800 Pine Street.
yeah, when we moved in, the landlord's like, well, they do execution style killings across there behind that warehouse. We're like, we'll take it.
Yeah.
You know, we were young, and it was the 90s, and it was, you know,
it was like the rave era, so
Yeah.
stuff was crazy, and
it was wild.
very difficult to make any money and have any jobs that we could even barely afford to live.
We lived in warehouses in New Jersey as well, like when Martin Atkins from PIL and Killing Joke and all that. Well, when he was moving to start his label in Chicago, he moved out of that warehouse, and so we were lucky. We were friends with Martin. We were lucky to scump up that warehouse space. So we ended up getting this cool warehouse space that had, like, I don't know. He had a funny. It was like a telephone booth that he made into a shower.
Yeah.
So you'd like go in the telephone booth and, you know, get your shower on. It was pretty great.
It was really cool.
And we rehearsed there as well. We had to like put up all these baffles and yeah, it was pretty great. And then we decided we wanted to move out to West Coast, so we got out to Oakland, and we lived out there for a few years, and then we moved up here. And Ivy's family moved up here, and so we got to.
We visited over New Year's Eve. And it was really, really, really cold.
We went up north to this place called
Circle Hot Springs,
and it was a hotel that was all heated by the underground hot springs.
Very Wild West, not fancy at all. Like super old, you know, Wild West gold miner thing, you know.
But warm, because the hot springs. I'd be like, can I just stay here, please?
Yeah.
And they had the Aurora Borealis. It was like minus 45 outside, so it was below 45 below. And the Northern Lights are all over, you know, you can see, which is, I don't know if you've never seen them, but they're incredible.
See them right now behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Green and blues and reds and yellows and white, just all these magenta.
It's like a giant curtain just comes out in the sky. We had never seen that. And so it was really magical.
Inspiring.
So we were like, hey, let's try this place and see what it's like.
Yeah. It was, we really like it.
And at the time there was, you know, as any town, and it is a town, you know, scenes come and go, opportunities come and go, and there's different, you know, different flavors of the scene, you know.
Alaska's the biggest country, it's almost like country. It's like the size of a country. It's the largest state in the nation, but it also is really small population. Where we come from in New Jersey, like the population of Anchorage would be like one town, you know, there, because New Jersey's like the most populated state. So you're going from like the most populated to like, you know, but the city here is like a town for us, and it's fine. It's like we feel like we're camping or something, even though we live.
And we stick out.
We live right in the middle of the city.
It's our thing. Alaska's only goth band. We stick out, and people pretty much know when we show up. They're like, oh, "It's Cliff and Ivy."
We got recognized at the thrift store yesterday. It was funny. We're like, "Who's that?" They're like,
pretty funny.
"Hey, Cliff, where's Ivy?" Like,
yeah. So yeah, we came up here to spend time with family. So
yeah, right. So when you were in New Jersey, is that when you started making music together?
Yeah. I met Ivy and we met together at the Clash concert in Rutgers University, and we got to be friends. And I was really impressed with her art skills. She was going to school for an art degree, bachelor's in fine arts, and she just does amazing visual arts, and so really impressed with her talents. And then we got to, I've been playing guitar since like 1980, so I already kind of had a little bit under my belt as far as that goes. And she had played piano, and so she wanted to be a singer, so we were like trying out different singers, and she could write words really good. She's a great wordsmith, and comes up with real creative words. So I knew right away that would be and I read some of her words, and she had like this really good very punk rock. We were into punk rock at the time, and goth, and you know, metal and just everything that was going on at like 1984 and, you know, around that time. There was so much happening that, and, you know, and dance music and just all that stuff mixed together was just, you know. So we ended up starting in this band called The Gout, and it was like just an obnoxious punk band. We opened up for the Stretch Marks from Canada, and we opened up for Adrenaline OD, which is like New Jersey's, you know, the classic New Jersey hardcore punk band, which those guys are great too, and another band called Generic Youth, which is
remember when all the bands were like something youth? That was what that was from.
We were in lots of bands in New Jersey in 1980s. We had like probably about 5 or 6 different bands that we, you know, some of them we got to record, some of them we didn't. And the stuff that we do have, we're actually going to be releasing on our label House of Extreme Darkness pretty soon. We have a bunch of like old cassettes and stuff that's like CBGB's, you know, the mixtape. Like a lot of times the bands would just play CBGBs just to get the mixtape of you playing live.
That was your demo.
Because you could use it for a demo, you know, because nobody had nobody had any money, you know. We were all like,
so you could get to the city.
We're all kids. Nobody had money, and so, you know, we had a lot of bands that we played in, a lot of projects, and so some of it got recorded, and the stuff that we do have, we're probably going to be releasing on our label.
Wow, that's exciting. That's great. Hey, I've got a question. When you moved to Alaska, did the change in, you know, coasts and climate and culture affect your music at all?
Yeah, a little bit.
So.
We're always pretty isolated anyway. We're freaks anyway. We like to stick together. Me and her, like I'm a Taurus with Capricorn rising, and she's a Capricorn with Taurus rising. So we're like this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird. We're always kind of like stuck like together like glue anyway. But you know, it kind of did. You know, it kind of isolated us even more because the distance between Anchorage, Alaska, and like say Seattle, which is like the closest United States city, is like the difference between Los Angeles and New York. That's how far away we are. So we're really isolated anyway. And then, you know, you put all the cultural differences and you know, maybe because we were coming from the Bay Area, which is so happening, to maybe like a little bit like behind, maybe 10 years behind what's really going on. This is, you're talking about pre-internet now, you know, or pre any social media stuff, you know. So it was all very much like some people had emails, you know, some people, it was really a 90s thing though. I think the 90s, I mean, there was stuff going on in the 80s, but it was really like only a few people really were, you know, interacting on, you know, message boards and stuff, you know. It was kind of like, you know, because we came from Jersey where you're tacking up like posters for your gigs. You're tacking up posters on all the flagpoles and going out to all the record stores and trying to get them to put your flyer in the window. And then here comes the 90s when you're still doing that, but there's a crossover. Now everything's like, everything's online. Nobody even wants your poster on their window. They're like, get that. You're going to get a ticket if you put that flyer up on the poster or on a you know, some place somewhere, you know, like on a telephone pole or something. They're like, the cops will come to your door or something.
Right. Hey, one of the things that we have bonded over the past few years of getting to know each other is that we've all worked in social work, supporting people with developmental disabilities, advocating for them, providing direct support. Have you been doing that since you lived in Jersey, or is that something that you just started when you moved up to Alaska?
Well, my cousin actually worked with folks with disabilities back in the 80s, and I was like, oh, what are you doing? What is that all about? Like, what do you do with those people? And he's like, no, it's fun, man. You should try it. And I was like, I just didn't understand. And when I grew up in school, I was always in school with people with special needs, and you know, I didn't have a problem with that. I always thought they were cool, and you know, a lot of people would give them problems and, you know, pick on them and stuff, and but I never was like that, you know. I always like to treat them like with respect, you know, because that's how I want to be treated. So it's, you know, but Ivy has family that has
I mean, disability's always been in my life. I do have a younger brother who has intellectual developmental disability. We grew up together in our family home, and this was back in the day when things were on the East Coast,
Jersey,
you know.
South
so
Jersey.
There was a whole lot of, you know, just different weird culture things going on. It's just different things. There was like no services, and what would you do if there were, you know. At one point early in his life, there was no school. Like, he couldn't go to school, and So, you know,
Yeah, and they want them to go
we grew up
to an
together.
institution. They were like
Yeah.
trying to get them to go to an institution. This is the
But my
70s,
mother said no.
you know.
My mother said absolutely not. And it made like a big impression on me because my father was so not into that, because he was a psychiatrist and he was like, the best thing is the institution. And my mom was like, oh, hell no.
Yeah, mom stood up.
So
She said,
stood
no,
up for
it's not gonna
him.
happen.
And so we had him, you know, he was always with our family, always. And, you know, he was my like best buddy and everything. And then later on, when we moved to California, I explored getting involved in that, but I didn't end up working in that field. And mostly in Alaska is when I decided to go into that field. And I just did volunteer work because that's all I was like, hey, you know, I'll just volunteer, because it felt weird to be paid.
Well, it was because your brother got services.
He went to an agency,
you know, like an agency that was doing like day hab services, like where people would go and, you know, like they'd have dances and all kinds of fun stuff.
It was super fun. Yeah.
And so we both actually got involved there and with that agency, and then it just kind of blossomed from there. And you know, and I ended up getting into management and like running all these programs and just being really
as such
great.
Things happen.
She just does really great, and she runs all these programs. She's just turned out she's a great writer. She didn't know. She went back to school, you know, got a master's in adult education, and
I started working for the state of Alaska, just doing education for people who want to be providers. But because I have so much of a family influence, I just kind of come at the work with that sensibility. And it's real important to me, real important that we are respectful and fair with everybody who is different and has learning, you know, different learning styles and things like that. And part of these things, I think it's in our songs too, with like the kind of like sensory background that we have within our songs, all of those things together. It's hard to talk about it because it's almost like, hey, Kara, how do you like your right arm? You know, because it's always been with me. It's, you know, like, well, it's great. It's a right arm and it does things and it's great, you know. But
well, I mean,
it's weird.
Both,
you know,
we since we moved to Anchorage, Alaska in '93, we had in the late '90s we had two children. We had a son named Wolfgang who experiences autism, and also in the early 2000s we had our other son named Thor, and he experiences autism as well. And they have varied, you know, experiences and abilities, and they're really smart, and they communicate a lot with computers and with sign language. So they're really good visual learners. A lot of times folks with autism are really good with pictures and you know, sign language. If you could do sign language and even basic sign, if you can learn basic sign, it helps a lot with the communication. So that's really good. And so we take care of the boys a lot. And so our sons, yeah, now they're adults, but you know, it's been real, you know, intense, and also to be working in the field as well as having family members that you care for, or you know, or guardians for, and things like that. All that stuff is, you know,
it's been quite the journey, and a great journey. Very, very.
Folks at home, I told you that they are wonderful people.
Oh.
So we're starting to run out of time. I'd like to talk about, and I know that we don't have exact dates for these, but we will get them before this airs and provide it for people. You've got a few live streams coming up that you're going to be performing at, which I'm really excited about. One is from Portland called the Gothic Festival of Burns. Is that right?
That might be actually, that's actually next year for Halloween.
Next year. Okay.
That's supposed to be in person, so we'll see if it's going to happen live.
But the cat rescue one from Brazil, right? That's coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Brazilian goth expo, and it's going to be happening probably Halloween week. So it's next week, and be looking out for that. Check out cliffandivy.com, and you'll be seeing all that stuff.
Great.
We're going to be doing like maybe we're going to do a show, like we'll do a few songs, and we'll just take part of the Brazilian goth experience.
Yeah.
Oh, they've got some great stuff going on. I think Escarlatina Obsessiva are from Brazil, right? A bunch of great bands. And also you've got Dark Side of the Con 4. Is that going to be a live stream, or?
That's a show.
We did a live stream last
We did.
August, I think it was.
Yeah. they went online, but that's a show that's scheduled to be in person next year in March.
Okay.
So as long as it's safe to hold it, they say they'll hold it. That's a big festival. We'll probably, if it's safe, we'll do
It
dates
got
around
postponed
that.
a year, like a year. It was
I mean, who
supposed to be last
knows?
March, but then they
Yeah.
postponed it to,
Yeah.
you know, the in-person,
Mhm.
and then they did a live stream. So
Yeah, who
yeah,
knows at this point what'll
Yeah.
happen. They
we're
did a live
hoping. We're
stream,
hoping.
you know, instead. And so if they do another one instead, we'll definitely do that. But right now the cat sanctuary one from Brazil is the one that we have on the books. So yeah.
Right. So I was telling you off camera before we started that one of the kind of themes that sort of has run through this show since it started in the middle of the pandemic, it started as a result of the pandemic, has been the subject of coping and how to cope. It's come up in interviews, you know, how bands are logistically coping, how they're able to, you know, put out albums when they oftentimes are not able to get together in person. And we've also talked about emotional coping and spiritual coping as well. And I understand that along those lines, you have a ritual incarnation. That's what you were calling it.
Yeah.
To share with us. Would you like to share that with us now?
Sure.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Great.
Ceremonial formula. You are not forsaken. Drunk on drum beats. Black canvas is your captain. Rise from the canyon. A caravan of bliss. Turning in theory in the bright, big dipper sky. Incendiary interface. Geographic summary of January. Incarnation of a nation. Incarnation of a nation. A nation incarnate. A nation incarnate. Luck, lies, and loathing. Fall under your living will. Incarnation of a nation. A nation incarnate.
Cliff and Ivy from Anchorage, Alaska. My friends, thank you so much for joining us on New Music Mondays. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank
Great
you.
to see you.
It's so great to see you.
We
We are going to close with the brand new video for the song Om, which can be found on the album Death Mask Devotion from May of 2019. You're watching New Music Mondays. Thanks, Cliff and Ivy. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Davy Bones. We love you.
Love
you too.
Hi everyone, hope you liked that video. If so, please like and subscribe to receive notifications when we upload more content. New Music Mondays is a live stream show every Monday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. on twitch.tv/DavyBonesOakland. It features myself and a weekly guest DJ spinning new releases in the world of dark music, post-punk, goth, dark wave, as well as interviews with the people that make the music happen. So it's a lot of fun. Make sure to join us live. Again, that's every Monday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., or actually about 9:30 Pacific time. The audio will always be uploaded the next day to my Mixcloud page, mixcloud.com/DavyBonesOakland. And thanks for watching the video on YouTube. The interviews will all be uploaded to the YouTube channel, as well as an occasional kind of behind the scenes video as well. All right. Thanks again.